Poised, elegant and very much in command, Tania Tapsell back for another term. Trevor Maxwell, icon of Kapahaka, a local legend, now in his 70s, still in the game, having first taken a seat at the table back in 1977.
Congratulations to you both. How are we feeling?
Good.
Feeling amped?
Back in business.
Back in business. Just checking, because everyone's related around here. So how might you be related?
So my grandmother is Judy Tapsell, previously Judy Morrison.
Yes.
And Aotearoa, of course, was Judy's sister, who was Trevor's wife. So, yeah, we are legit related.
Yes.
Aotearoa Maxwell, also known as Dina, was legendary and beloved of Te Arawa. The couple travelled the world together, performing, tutoring.
What inspired you, or who inspired you to get into council?
It was Tania's granduncle,
Yeah.
Sir Peter Tapsell. Then he came along with a form, sign here. About an hour to go, sign for council. I said, oh my gosh, I know stuff all about council other than hide the dogs, here comes the rangers. At the time I had my own little radio program on a Sunday morning. He said, you've got a wonderful popular program. A lot of people are listening, not only Māori, but non-Māori. Dina and I had only just returned home from touring overseas with Inia Te Wiata and Kiri Te Kanawa came to Expo in Japan with us. She said, oh, well, he was deputy mayor at the time. If he's got confidence, you stand. I said, oh, okay, what will our people think? You know, and she said, don't worry about anyone else.
So what inspired you to get in, Tania?
This is where it's really lovely and things have gone around and come back around. So I was on the Rotorua Youth Council. I shared with Uncle Trevor here that I was interested in standing for council one day. And he sort of had a laugh and was like, oh, yeah, okay, come on Youth Council and you'll realise you don't want to be part of this. Like, it's a difficult place to be, and he was always very honest with me about that. So I always admired his service at that time and was quite inspired by how much Uncle Trevor gave back to the community. And so when I was 21 years old, I stood for council and successfully got in.
In 2022, Tania became mayor, and things took a bit of a turn.
Could I have the answer from Una?
No, that is
Who
not
knows
an
the
urgent.
rules?
Councillor Maxwell?
I'm disappointed.
No. Councillor Maxwell, I call
Madam
order.
Mayor, I'm
Councillor
gonna
Maxwell,
express
your
urgent
behaviour
item.
is being
No, it's
disorderly,
not.
Councillor Maxwell.
You got a bit spiky, you two, at each other there one stage, didn't you?
Only once.
Only once?
And put it behind us.
Did you?
Yeah. But, I mean, that was early in the piece, and look, we're all feeling our way at the time, and new mayor, that happened. But, well, it's like you've always wanted to have an inclusive council and that, like.
How do you build that?
You have to have the opportunity to honestly put your view across the table, whether you agree with it or not. But then importantly, once you've made a decision, then you leave the raru in the past and you move forward.
You stood for National Party.
Yes.
So is that off the table for next year?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
you're the mayor, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I'm
can't
the
just-
mayor.
can't
I
just
am
bugger
locked
off
in.
then, eh?
No, but I will say though, although I am a National Party member, at the table here on councils, and I think for all councils across the country, you do need to be apolitical. It's not about party values or policies, it's about what can you do in the best interest of your local community.
How challenging is it to be non-partisan, I guess, when you're in a local council situation?
I'd like to think that I get on well with anyone, but some push you to the wire, and especially, I guess, in the last term or two, we've had to push back. In the past, many a times, I've been the Lone Ranger on council from years back, but nowadays we have a Māori ward, and I'm so pleased that we, in the referendum, our Rotorua voted to retain our Māori wards by a good margin.
In this year's local election, most council districts voted against Māori wards, but not Rotorua. Newcomer Te Rika Te Mara Benfell topped the polling and is now Rotorua's youngest councillor, sitting alongside Trevor and returning councillor Merepeka Raukawa Tate.
How do you feel about that, Tania? Because there was a time when you weren't supportive of Māori ward.
Yeah. It's been so hoha because people like Hobson's Pledge have then gone and tried to use my image, and I've said, hey, you don't have permission to do that. And I definitely do not support them. But I did vote against the Māori wards when it first came up because I was concerned on what that meant for our wider community. Because we not only have to consider who's at the table, and at the time we've consistently had at least about 40% of Māori representation, which is incredibly high. But what it meant is that people on the Māori roll could now only vote for 3 seats instead of 10. So again, although Māori wards is good, whānau are going, hey, why can't I vote for my friends on the general ward? I can only vote for Māori ward. So I think that seriously needs to get resolved and fixed so it's not a disadvantage to Māori.
Early in the debate, when it first started, we had 4 Māori on council. And so I was thinking, no, in other regions, yes, I think they might need Māori wards in other cities, other places. But here we're achieving it in the general. And it sort of made me think a bit more wider.
I suppose there's the assumption that if you're Māori and you're on council, you're going to be a strong advocate for Māori. That's not always the case, though, is it? You can be Māori on a council or in a political party and actually be really undermining of Māori. That's correct, isn't it?
I think we see that more in central government than local government, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do support Māori wards in general.
Tell me about the Rotorua you grew up in, Trevor.
We led a beautiful, simple life in those days, but mind you, I came from Aotearoa, Middle Earth, and only came into town every now and again to do the cultural performances with Guy Rangi and Guy Kiddo and all of them in their days.
But times have changed. We might be winning on stage, but how about on the streets? More after the break. Rotorua is home, and some things never change. The main drag, the breathtaking dramatic natural beauty, the old Tudor towers, big renovations, so under wraps. In recent times, though, Rotorua itself has come in for a bad rap. The council talks up the fact that the number of those housed in motels has gone down.
Where has everyone gone to, the ones that aren't in the motels?
We partnered significantly with iwi, who had land available, who had housing aspirations, and many of the people from the motels have been placed either in kāinga ora social housing or affordable housing that their own iwi have developed. And we have a number of cases of that. Without a doubt, there are still people really struggling, and that is an area we'll continue to focus on. You know, we can't do it alone. And so we brought in the government agencies, and for the first time it wasn't only Ministry of Social Development and Housing, it was also Ministry of Education. Why are people not at school? It was Ministry of Health, because the more that I look at this homeless problem, at the core of it, it is a health problem. And somewhere along the line, something went wrong and people were not given access to the support that they should have. And so how do we not only help those that find themselves on the street now, how do we actually have a preventative approach in the medium to long term to ensure that here in New Zealand and here in Rotorua, nobody needs to find themselves sleeping rough on the footpath or a car. So the community safety plan has definitely worked. That was addressing the urgent need. And now we are also creating a homelessness plan, working alongside government agencies, all the fantastic not-for-profits. Because even when I asked, okay, so who's everyone that's working in this space, helping the homeless? Nobody knew. There wasn't a coordinated approach.
Retailer and community concerns over issues spilling onto the streets and in front of shops has also been a political priority.
We've gone really hard on our community safety plan, and we actually managed to be the first region to get more police. We got a beat team in our inner city, 7 police, and the only other people that had that was Wellington, Auckland and Christchurch.
Kua hau ko Tania Tapsell, e Aotearoa, ka whai ahau i te pono me te pōkeke, i ngā
There have been concerns voiced over a lack of meaningful engagement with iwi on big issues.
We've been through the good, the bad and ugly in our history of Rotorua, but now I think it's fantastic to have such a progressive council. I'm very proud to lead this council, but have colleagues around the table that support initiatives that have seen not only empowerment of local iwi and Māori, but actually returning of land.
For me, some 25 years ago, I nearly left council because our people in Ngāti Rangiwewe weren't treated very well over the confiscation of water from our springs, Taniwha Springs. The dreaded Public Works Act
Oh, yes, yes.
took that from us. So finally, years later, we were able to achieve it, to hand back the springs back to our people. Us on council here made that call.
We all agree that this partnership is absolutely critical for us to move forward.
Te Tātou Aotearoa partnership was formed in 2015 to enable Te Arawa to participate in council decisions after the Environment Court criticism of the council's engagement with mana whenua.
We did a lot of consultation led by good people like Arapeta Tahana, and we ended up with the structure we have now for Te Tātou, where they're elected onto their body.
Yes.
I think we're going to also have another look to see how all of these are working, if they're working well, or where improvements could be done.
So what are the tangibles that have come out of that relationship?
So we were the first bilingual city in the country, officially, but also knowing that housing was one of our biggest issues, but also top priorities, they also worked with the university to create a housing compass to ensure that everything is considered, right down to the impacts on biodiversity. So it has been really fantastic, but I do think there's further opportunity to not just look at projects, but get them at a strategic level as well. The Te Arawa Vision 2050 document was the biggest achievement. And quite honestly, I think now we need to look at, well, how do we action this?
The Rotorua district is home to 14 lakes. Te Arawa Lakes Trust and other trusts, iwi and hapu, are heading into the High Court this week, calling on the Crown to honour te tiriti, restore the health of freshwater across Aotearoa and safeguard it for future generations. The practical issue of how to deal with wastewater is hugely challenging. In 2020, Te Arawa Lakes Trust, the Council and CNI Iwi Holdings entered into a kauanata to enable wastewater to be sprayed into the forest, but only as a temporary solution.
The biggest decision that this council will have to make in the next 3 years is where we're going to put that treated wastewater. So we've spent almost $100 million upgrading our wastewater treatment plant so that once the sewage is processed, it's almost drinkable. But then where do we put it? Our local landowners in mana whenua, in the CNI forest, they want us out. And fair enough. So we're trying to find a solution as soon as possible, but we thought we'd do it a bit differently. It's not just about what do we want as council, but we've created a working group that includes members of the community and young people so that they can actually, alongside our perspective, alongside expert perspective, we can come up with the best solution, not only for now, urgently, but for the long term. Because it was only 50 years ago or so that raw sewage was being put into Lake Rotorua.
New Zealand's soon-to-be longest-serving councillor is adamant this is his last shot.
So where you want to put all your energy this term?
Well, first of all, I want to strengthen our Te Arawa partnerships. I want to see us rebuild and open our beautiful Rotorua Museum, Te Wharetaonga o Te Arawa. That's important.
Used to be a hot nightclub, that place up there,
Yeah.
We have some plans.
with Hickory on the door.
Yes.
Security.
Once it's ready to rock, then what?
Hopefully we have some money left over for the exhibition, including there's many philanthropic, we've got people like Rotorua Trust who have helped us out, and we will be going back to the government to say, look, this is a nationally significant building, please help us out.
The youngest councillor who was just sworn in told me every decision needs to be made with an intergenerational impact in mind.
Another 3 years going to be an election. Next year there's going to be another election. How do you cement the kind of vision that the people are talking about?
Too often as politicians we see people focusing on what will be popular because they want to get back in another 3 years. And I think this is where Trevor has been, incredibly steady and consistent and committed to always making the right decision on what's best for everyone, but also supporting teamwork.
So we're in a very spiky time in terms of how Māori things are seen, issues are seen out there, they're weaponised. You found that yourself with Hobson's pledge. Do you sense any of that kind of antagonism coming through, or have you had to deal with it?
Sometimes you really wake up and you go, how am I going to get through today? But at the end of the day, what if we weren't in these spaces? That's the question that I really asked myself and my family. Even though it was really hard the past 3 years with some of the spiky stuff, as you say, we had to deal with, what if I wasn't here? And who would the next person be in this place? And would they be serving the community and our iwi and hapu the way that we are? And the answer was a solid no. And so it was, okay, brush yourself off.
Yeah, we're doing the best we can with the resources we've got, really.
The most hurtful is sometimes when it comes from our own people. But the thing is, that's what helps to drive us to take it to that next level, to be even better, to constantly improve ourselves and the future for our tamariki, our mokopuna. And we call it mokopuna decisions here in Rotorua.
And there's no doubting Trevor's pride and passion.
I've always been proud of Rotorua being the home, the heart of Māoridom, the home of entertainment. So the Howard Morrison Centre that we've rebuilt, 28 million it cost at the time, but want to see that humming again with the talent that comes out of here.
Uh-oh, no pressure then. Come on, we're in Te Arawa.
I thought you were going to do Paul Karikari.
He told me he was going to do that.
He always does that. Does he? We'll be on stage and he'll start it and I stand there going, oh, okay, let's go.